I think the format for today is going to be a bit split. What I think would be a good idea is if I, after Jesus's introduction, that I address a couple of your questions on the current situation, and then I'll go to some of the listed questions that people have been posing on the platform. So let's see what Jesus has to say to us today. You are blessed beings indeed. I am that one that you know as Jesus, and your life has become challenging. Your life has become different. Priorities have shifted. Some of the things perhaps that you have been avoiding have come home to roost. Some of the things that you wished you had done, that you were guided to do perhaps, and you did not do, you are realizing that you chose to ignore that guidance. Now, what we want you to understand is, of course, that none of you are ever punished for what you do, but you do get to live with the creations that your free will decisions cause to happen. So, for example, if you have been in a rocky relationship and you've been avoiding it by working long hours or staying out late with friends instead of coming home, as our dear one calls it, taking the long way home. She did that a few times. You are now sitting across the table from that person with whom you have some difficulty. Now, this may seem as if it's awful, but in actual fact, this situation is pressing all of you to deal with that you haven't dealt with. Remember, we have said over and over again, as these escalating energies continue, you are going to be faced with the things that you've swept under the rug and that you've denied, and that they are not going to go away. They're just going to become more and more magnified. Many of you may have wondered, how was that going to happen? How was something going to come up and not go away? We dare say that you did not imagine this situation coming about. So when we give you a heads up, when we give you advice, we want to remind you that we have the ability to see the most probable outcome as you are traveling through this time-space reality. Humanity has the ability to transform the outcomes of probabilities, but when we look at what everybody is doing, let's say, 1 million people are doing the same thing they did yesterday, they're doing the same thing today, we can tell you probably that they will be doing the same thing tomorrow. Now, what's happening on your planet at this time is this bifurcation, this splitting between fear and love. And many of you that have been, signed up to this particular platform, to our dear one's YouTube channel for some time, you can see where you have been choosing more love over fear. You may not be completely through that process yet, but there are many of you that are breathing a sigh of relief because you did make some choices based on the guidance that you were receiving from within your own heart and mind. There are other beings who have had a lot of guidance and have resisted or been too fearful or been too stuck in their ways to change. And that now is coming front and center for those beings. There is a great sigh of relief amongst many of you because you have made changes that are benefiting you in this circumstance. And there are others of you that are kicking yourselves a little bit, that you didn't listen to your guidance, that you didn't act upon it, that you didn't have more courage to do certain things. What we want you to understand is that as this year progresses, there will be a couple of things happening, and we are allowed to tell you vaguely what they are. We are not allowed to tell you specifically, but there will come a period where these restrictions are lifted a little bit, and then they will be brought down harder. So we want to tell you this so that when the restrictions are lifted a little bit, that you make hay while the sun shines in whatever form you are guided to do. There is no blanket answer for all of you. Some of you need to stay put. Some of you need to move. Some of you need to be less social. Some of you need to be more social. Some of you, some of you have financial issues that need to be dealt with. Some of you do not. So there is no one piece of advice that we will give all of you, other than to say that when the restrictions are lifted, make use of that freedom in whatever way you are guided to. It will not last. Now, this may sound frightening to you. This may sound as if we are naysayers or negatives. But what we are witnessing is the probabilities of this particular game that is being played. This game that is being played has been in the works for a very, very, very long time. You would be astonished at the strategic chess moves that have been orchestrated over the recent decades to allow this to transpire. Now, we are not trying to get you to become spies or overly concerned with worldly issues. What we do want you to understand is that we are here to assist you in living a full and self-realized life. And this piece of information that we have just given you is part of that, so that you may take the next few weeks, while many of you are restricted, to contemplate what it is that you wish you had done, what it is that you wish you had said, what it is that you wish you had prepared. We do not want you to beat yourselves up. We do not want you to get frightened. We do not want you to get frustrated. We want you to honestly look at the things that are coming up for you in this time of restriction and make note of them and ask yourself, was I ignoring this? Have I been given a nudge to deal with this before and just swept it under the rug? Why did I sweep it under the rug? Why have I not attended to this? What was I thinking when that nudge was there repeatedly to do whatever you feel you have not done? So make sure that when the thumb screws are released a little bit, that you have gone through this process of self-assessment, lovingly, forgivingly asking yourself these questions. Your job here is to expand your consciousness. And what you are being given the opportunity to see here is where you have had your foot on the brake in that consciousness expansion. Remember, fear keeps you limited. Fear keeps you contained. Fear keeps you from moving ahead. Love inspires, love excites, love gives you energy to do things. So these restrictions that you have been placing on yourself, those things which you have not yet dealt with, are being reflected back to you in the restrictions that you are experiencing, seemingly imposed upon you from an outside source. But as you know, you are not a victim of the world you see. You are co-creator with it. So some of you are in more restrictive circumstances than others. Literally, some of you are in a full lockdown situation, full quarantine situation. Others of you are finding yourself in a more free situation. This is no accident. This is no accident. We want those of you that are feeling particularly shut down to ask yourself, where have I been shut down? And you will be seeing it because you will be feeling it. There are no distractions. There are no little habitual behaviors that you can do throughout the day to keep your mind off how you feel. You can't take the long way home. You are home. So for those of you that are feeling a little freer, welcome that, appreciate that. And understand that it is a reflection of your expanding consciousness. This is not to judge. This is not to give some people an A+ and others a B-. This is about using the knowledge that you have been studying. This is about truly practicing the Course in Miracles principles, you are not a victim of the world you see. In the greater collective, what you are seeing is a playing out of the fear and control and power that many humans have voluntarily handed over, not choosing to be sovereign beings, not choosing to look after themselves, waiting for somebody else to care for them or pay them or nurture them. Now, this is not about super independence, but it is about your personal power. Many of you in the West have become disempowered by the systems at play. And because of ignorance about free will and how media manipulates, it has proceeded along to a greater degree than is beneficial for anybody. What we suggested in the meditation last night is that you envision yourself as you truly are, not a fallible human being who might die of this virus, but as an empowered light being who can transform this world. It is time for you to really insist that you do not allow sloppy thinking, that you do not fall into the traps of being a physical body, vulnerable, fallible, scared. Now is the time for you to truly practice these principles, seeing yourself connected to source energy, sending your love and encouraging that source energy to permeate everything and everyone. In the meditation, we suggested that you look at those beings around you, your family, your friends, your co-workers, beings that you spend time with on a regular basis. This does not mean that you do not care about the rest of the people. What it means is you have to focus. You have to focus. In the several hundred people that are on this call right now, if each one of you do that meditation accurately with 5, 10, 20, 30 people that you see on a regular basis, the ripples will go out and miracles will happen. Those beings, if they are part of your daily or twice daily meditation, you will be affecting them because you are all connected. You must remember this now, you are all connected. And just as the fear spreads from one mind to the other, and that's what you're witnessing on your social media, so too can the empowerment, so too can the light, so too can the love. So do not dismiss these meditations as frivolous things to keep your mind busy. They are real and valid and have a great effect on those beings and those images and ideas that you are entertaining as you're doing the meditation. So this is a time of reconciliation. That means that you must reconcile the books, just like you do with your bank account. What happens when you reconcile your checkbook at the end of the month? Although nobody does that anymore, it's an old phrase, but you know what we mean. When you reconcile the checkbook at the end of the month and you see, oh, I have spent way more than I earned. I might need to do something about that. Or perhaps you reconcile your checkbook and you see, oh, there's one particular area where I am leaking a lot of money / energy. Now is the time for reconciliation. Look at your life and ask yourself, where have I been amiss? Where have I been lazy? Where have I been self-indulgent? Where have I been cruel? Where have I been fearful? Where have I been confused? You will all know now where that area is. And this is a great gift. This is a great gift because in the human doingness of the Western way, many people, even doing a spiritual practice, were able to avoid things that they did not want to deal with because they were free to drive around and pick up dinner and go to the movies and all of those things. Those things have been temporarily removed from you. Take advantage of it. We do not intend to tell you that what is happening in a human sense is good for you. The powers that be are making some moves that are, we will say in our dear one's colloquial language, a little dodgy. But we want you to understand that you are fully participating in this co-creation. You are experiencing something for you. And that is the thing to remember. There is something in this for everybody. There is something in this for everybody if you look at it the right way. If you play the victim and say, well, I want to be free and the government says I have to stay home, you will not feel good. But if you look at this and say, I must somehow have contributed to this powerlessness, where am I acting powerless? Where am I folding? Where am I not speaking my truth? Where am I being weaker than I know I could be? And it will look different for each of you. Each one of you must come to these conclusions yourself. But we do want you to use this, these approaching weeks to do that. If you must look at media, we would say look at it once a day, get your information, and then turn it off. Do not keep looking at it, waiting for the next shoe to drop or the next piece of information. If you tune into it first thing in the morning, you see the latest newscasts, if you feel you must. But we would prefer that you did not. We would prefer that you look around the room, look around your home, look around your garden, look around your balcony, look around your neighborhood and go, how's it going here? If you are in an urban environment, lean out of your balcony and start conversating with your neighbor. Ask them if you can have a chat at 10 o'clock each morning, just so that you aren't by yourself all the time. If you're lucky enough to have a house and a garden, you go outside and do that all day. Tend to those things that you know will benefit you as the seasons go along this year. You are going to see some shortages arising in your supermarkets because the supply chains have been cut. The factories that are producing these things are not up and running. This does not mean that you should hoard food. What it means is, to the best of your ability, you should plant food. So go to your garden center, go to your supermarket, pick up those seeds, pick up some flower seeds too. Do not go too hardcore over into the food growing. Grow some flowers too, for the pure joy of them, for the pure beauty of them, and to make your garden a wonderful thing to behold. But do go out and purchase seeds. Do start those seeds now if you are able. Do think about how you can shift your garden space around so that you can grow something. This is logical. This is not fear-inducing. This is not panic-inducing. This is logical given the evidence before your eyes in your own lane. You can garden in fear or you can garden in excitement. Our dear one had a conversation yesterday with two young beings who are what they call guerrilla gardening. They are going to the seasonal homes that are empty in their neighborhood, and they are planting the gardens that are sitting there doing nothing. This is intelligence. This is not fear-driven. They are excited for it. They feel as if they have been given a great abundance around them, even though these homes would normally be occupied by people, seasonal homes, they are not. So those gardens are sitting there. You will, in a circumstance like that, realize that there are cultural rules where you can't go and plant somebody else's garden. But as our dear one so rightly said to them, the worst thing that will happen is that these people will show up in June and they will have a garden full of food. Do you think they will be upset at that? They may have a little moment of consternation that you stepped over the property line, but when they look at the lettuces and the beans and the peas, they will not be upset. Just don't be attached to that garden. See it as a potential future food source. These young beings that are approaching the situation like this are doing the right thing. They are seeing, where is the opportunity? Where is my excitement leading me? What is firing me up right now? This afternoon, our dear one is getting a locally made greenhouse delivered to her home, which excites her. What does excitement mean? It means she's on track. It means that she's doing the right thing. So that's what we would like to advise all of you today, is to tune into the excitement that is coming from within you. What fires you up right now? What's giving you joy? What's making you think eagerly about the future? Do that, do that, do that. We will return shortly. All right. Let me just have